All right, so this afternoon we have 3 stories, and I want to tell you exactly what you're getting. First, Trump went on CNBC this morning and said the military is raring to go if no deal is reached by tomorrow evening. The ceasefire expires tonight, Washington time, and Vance is heading to Pakistan, but Iran has not confirmed they're showing up yet. We're going to look at what is actually on the table and whether this ends with a deal or a resumption of war in the next 24 hours. Second, the House Ethics Committee hearing on Representative Sheila Sheffilas McCormick is happening right now as the stream is live. So she has 25 ethics violations. She essentially appropriated $5 million in FEMA disaster funds. And there's a 3-carat yellow diamond ring in the mix. She publicly refused to resign this morning. The expulsion vote could happen before this stream ends, and we're going through every detail. And finally, this one almost nobody is covering. The Trump DOJ quietly declared the Presidential Records Act unconstitutional. We're going to get into that. A nearly 50-year-old law that exists because of Richard Nixon. Historians are now suing to stop document destruction. We're covering it because the rest of the media is not. All right. So the live chat is open. Drop your thoughts as we go. But before we dive into the interview with Squawk Box, here's something that I ran into on my feed, and essentially here's yet another evidence of Democrat hypocrisy when it comes to President Trump's policy actions and the things that they claim are unconstitutional. Let's go.
Leadership on Iran was better because under President Obama, there were 14 wire transfers to a, hold on. There were 14 wire transfers to a Swiss account linked to Hezbollah between 2014 and 2016. That was a total of $1.7 billion. The same $1.7 billion he told Congress was frozen Iranian assets. Now, there was a back channel to Tehran through Valerie Jarrett, active for 2012 to 2024. This was after he left office. So, you know, it was almost like a shadow government. He also sent pellets of cash in a plane to Iran. Now, why would you send money to Iran knowing that they are building a nuclear weapon and they are the leading sponsor of terrorism?
Barack Obama was a great statesman who left America much safer. I wouldn't put Donald Trump in the same paragraph. The reality is when President Obama left, because of the great efforts of people like Valerie Jarrett, we had 97% of the enriched uranium out. The reality is we didn't have 13 American service members dead. The reality is we never had gas go up from $2.30 to $4. The reality is we did not give China more role in the region. Let me finish, Maria. I'll let you finish.
Okay,
we didn't give China more role in the region. We did not give the IRGC a more hardline regime in there. You know why? Because Obama actually did his homework. He actually tried to engage in statesmanship. He got China, Russia, the entire European allies on board with getting Iran on a path to not having a nuclear weapon. All Trump did is listen to Netanyahu. That's his entire foreign policy. And you know what? I resent the fact that Israel is going to tell the United States what to do. The American president call the shots in this country.
And, well, the American president should call the shots in this country, but you and your colleagues are trying to clip his wings right now with this war powers vote. I agree, the president is in charge. But look, a lot of the things that you just said are just not true, Congressman. I mean, look, we have to look at this realistically. And President Obama sent money to the Iranians. And what did they do? They resumed their buildup of enrichment.
That's not true.
Yeah, what's not true?
Simply saying that something isn't true doesn't make it not true. The facts don't lie. After Obama sent all that cash, okay, so where did the Iranian nuclear program show up? Did it just show up simply because Trump was voted into office and then voila, a nuclear program materialized in Iran? These guys are just a bunch of hypocrites and liars.
What's not true? What specifically about that sentence is not true?
There was a deal that we reached to get 97% of the enriched uranium out. In the process of that, Iran had certain assets that were Iranian assets, wasn't our money, that was unfrozen. And that was a deal that China, Russia, France, UK, Canada, the United States all agreed to. And then you had Netanyahu come in and try to torpedo it, and AIPAC tried to torpedo that deal. We were on a path to having a denuclear Iran, but what happened is it wasn't in Netanyahu's interest and AIPAC's interest, and they've dragged us into another war in the Middle East. They've hurt American people, and the American people are tired of it. They want people who are going to be Team America. They want people who are going to bring gas prices down here and care about our nation and get us out of these wars, and that's why Obama won. He was against the Iraq war. That's why he was on a path to normalization in terms of getting Iran to be denuclear, but it had the whole world on our side. And AIPAC, Netanyahu tore that up.
Relax. Congressman, it doesn't change the fact that 10 presidents before President Trump all said the same thing.
I think there's some connection issue.
Congressman,
now I can hear you.
Congressman, it doesn't change the fact that 10 presidents before President Trump all said the same thing. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They are the leading state sponsor of terrorism. They cannot have a nuclear weapon.
One president delivered, and that was Barack Obama.
Oh, my goodness.
Barack Obama is the only one who delivered.
Congressman, you're talking fantasy.
97%
Obama did nothing about it. You're talking fantasy. Obama did nothing about it. Not true. Other than send money to the Iranians.
Obama got the whole world.
Oh, my goodness.
That's just factually false. He unfroze Iranian assets, but he had the whole world behind us. How many?
Excuse me. It's insane watching this, but you know what? The entire Democrat Party is on board with this narrative. Let's not say narrative, lie. Okay, because now the mainstream media has trained all of us to use the word narrative. It's essentially a lie. President Obama unfroze these assets and shipped them off to Iran, giving them instant access to cash that they instantly began to use for a nuclear program. Meanwhile, while he was campaigning, he repeatedly said during his debate and campaign, Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. Okay, Intergalactic Wrangler, the big buildup of forces in the Middle East tells me it's about to be hell in Iran if they don't capitulate. Look, Intergalactic Wrangler, they are terrified. The IRGC are terrified because they can't reach a deal. Okay, the way it works there is this. If you show weakness in any way by capitulating to the US, the more extreme factions of the IRGC will eliminate you. That's the problem they're having. It's a catch-22. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it's a reality that they all created in the Middle East. Now, back to this video. How do Democrats do this? How do they wake up in the morning and say all this rubbish? It's insane to me how they manage it, honestly.
Countries do we have behind us now? Obama had Russia, China, Canada, UK, France, the whole world on board, and they lost 97%.
Now, Congressman, now you lost me. Saying Obama had Russia and China in their corner. I think you know better than most that Russia and China are not in our corner. Congressman, we will continue this discussion,
this issue,
and we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, okay? I don't think that anyone who votes Democrat is evil. Of course, people on the Democrat side think that if you vote for President Trump, you're evil and should be stamped out of existence. That's what they believe. I don't believe that. But it's crazy just watching these conversations. Now, here's an interview by President Trump on CNBC, and we're going to play several segments of what he had to say about the upcoming deal, because he was quite insistent on certain things.
Joining us now on the Squawk Newsline, President Donald J. Trump. President Trump, welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you very much, Joe.
You are very welcome. Can you give us, I think it's on everyone's mind, the latest on where the Iraq negotiations stand? We now know Tehran has publicly confirmed that it will send representatives to the meeting with Vice President Vance. What do you expect? What are you hearing at this point, sir?
Well, as I said 2 days ago when they said they won't send them, I said they'll be sending them. They have no choice but to send them. What I think is that we're going to end up with a great deal. I think they have no choice. We've taken out their Navy. We've taken out their Air Force.
Yep.
We've taken out their leaders, frankly, which does complicate things in one way, but these leaders are much more rational. It is regime change, no matter what you want to call it, which is not something I said I was going to do, but I've done it, indirectly maybe, but I've done it. And I think we're in a very strong negotiating position to do what other presidents should have done during a 47-year period. We have 47 years where these bloodthirsty people have been killing a lot of soldiers, a lot of our soldiers, and a lot of other people. They've killed 42,000 people over the last 2 months. And, you get to a point where people don't want to mention that. They don't like mentioning that. 42,000 unarmed protesters, innocent unarmed protesters, many of them hung. So we're not dealing with the nicest group of people, but we're dealing with them very successfully. And the blockade has been a tremendous success. They said 2 days ago, we will open the strait. I said, no, we're not going to open the strait until we have a final deal. No, we want to open the strait. They said, we're not opening. We totally control the strait, just so you understand, for all the fake news out there.
And, Mr. President, we've seen 100 days of the largest protests in Iran since the revolution in 1979. And I know how much you respect and admire and are concerned with the Iranian people themselves. And this is, I think, in large degree, one of the reasons you decided to embark on this whole thing, maybe among other things, but the timing was right. If we get close in negotiations right now, but the deadline for the ceasefire is tomorrow, if it looks like things are progressing, will you not necessarily extend it to a definitive amount of time, but will you let it keep going if there's progress in the talks before taking...
Well, I don't want to do that. We don't have that much time because by the time both parties get there, as you know, they just got the okay to go forward, which I knew they were going to do anyway. I mean, I don't think they had a choice. They have to negotiate. And, the one thing I'll say is this. Iran can get themselves on a very good footing if they make a deal. They can make themselves into a strong nation again, a wonderful nation again. They have incredible people. But they seem to be, bloodthirsty. They're led by some very, very, unfortunately, tough people. And I don't mean tough in a good way. I think it's very negative for the country because we're much tougher than they are, like not even close. But they have to use reason and they have to use common sense, and they can get themselves into a great position to make themselves into a great country, but a legitimate country, not a country based on death and horror.
And I think regimes only respond to certain things, and I understand your threats to bomb the bridges in the electric grid, but I don't think the regime cares about the people of Iran. And if you did that, I'm sure it's the last thing you'd probably want to do, but it would hurt at least some of the people that we care about and why we embarked on this in the first place. So that would be, I'm sure, a last resort for you.
It's not my choice, but it will also hurt them. It'll hurt them militarily. They use the bridges for their weapons, for their missile movements. They're trying to move the missiles because we've obliterated most of their missiles, and they're trying to move their missiles around, even during the ceasefire, which I think was a good thing because we're totally loaded up. We have so much ammo. We have so much of everything that we've, much more powerful than it was 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Okay, so I just want to interject here, okay? If you're in the chat, do you ever remember Joe Biden in his time in office giving these kinds of interviews on live television, on a phone call, and articulating his points as clearly as this? Leftists and Democrats and the rogue, or not rogue, but people who have defected from the conservative group or wing or voter base, like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly, want us to believe that Trump is deranged. Okay, but let me know if you recall any time that Joe Biden had an interview this coherent, okay, on live television, unscripted. I want to believe it's unscripted, okay? I'm sure that maybe there's clearance to questions that you can ask the president on live TV. but you get what I'm saying. Okay, so let me know in the chat. And speaking of the chat, all right, you can see on the screen that we have a prize for whoever it is that essentially chats the most and essentially moves the conversation during this live stream the most. Okay, so we get to buy you a coffee. All right, so but you have to stay to the end of the live stream so that we can tell you how you're going to get your gift card to get your coffee on Amazon. So let me know. Just keep the conversations coming in the chat. Let me know if Joe Biden ever had this kind of interview. If he ever did, let me know.
So we've used this to restock, and they probably have done a little bit of restocking. We caught a ship yesterday that had some things on it, which wasn't very nice. A gift from China, perhaps. I don't know. But I was a little surprised, but because I have a very good relationship, and I thought I had an understanding with President Xi, but that's all right. That's the way war goes, right? But I will tell you that our military is incredible, what we've done. I mean, think of it. In the first 3 days, we took out their entire Navy, 159
That's
ships.
crazy.
159 ships, and wiped out their Air Force, wiped out their anti-aircraft, all of their anti-aircraft apparatus is all gone. All of their radar is gone. Their leaders are gone.
When Biden was younger, maybe.
The whole thing is gone. And frankly, this should have been done a long time ago. It would have been a lot easier because they were a lot less lethal a long time ago.
So to be clear, you're saying that you need at least the prospects for a signed deal today and tomorrow, or else you would resume bombing Iran.
Well, I expect to be bombing because I think that's a better attitude to go in with. But we're ready to go. I mean, the military is raring to go. They are absolutely incredible. You know, I built the military in my first term. I'm using it now. The military, when I took it over from Barack Hussein Obama, it was so depleted, so sad. And I built it in my first term. You remember those big numbers. You talked to me about it once. That's a lot of money for military. I built it. We did a great job with our military. And we're using it now and rebuilding it, too. We've done a lot of rebuilding also in my first year of the second term. But we have we have the most powerful military in the world. Everybody knows it.
All right, so that's okay. We're going to watch the other clip. We have several clips. Hope I'm not sorry about that.
Join us now on the Squawk Newsline, President.
So we're going to, because it was
Trump. President Trump, welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you very much.
The interview was over 30 minutes, but we were able to get clips from the interview, and we just want to share that and have a conversation. Intergalactic Wrangler said, in response to my question about Joe Biden, said, yeah, when Biden was younger, maybe. Yeah, we all saw those videos of Joe Biden when he was younger. And the question that I kept asking was, where did that guy go? Look, most of us, okay, on this side don't hate Democrats, okay? We don't. We look at them and say, can't you just have a sane conversation or a sane policy position that we can literally have a conversation with? We just watched Ro Khanna essentially make up stuff during a live interview. And when he's checked on the facts, he's like, no matter what you tell me, this is what I believe. And Obama was great. Look, it's crazy that we're having these kinds of conversations. It's crazy that people don't settle down and actually tell the truth for once. And that's the problem I have with mainstream media. The inconsistency of it all. You say one thing for the Democrats, and then you just blow things way out of proportion and lie when it comes to Republicans or conservatives. It's just absolutely insane.
Supreme Court, they said I can charge tariffs, but I have to do it a different way. And because of what they did, we have to pay back $160 billion. All they had to do is add one sentence, just one sentence. And that's, you don't have to pay anything taken in thus far back. But because they didn't add, and by the way, it was a close call too. There were justices that were powerful that I was right on the tariffs. But because we lost by just 2 votes, just little vote, 2 votes, we have to pay back $165 billion. They could have, with a little one sentence, you don't have to pay back tariffs that have already been received. You start from this point, and you do it a different way. So we're doing it a different way. We're going to end up with the same. Actually, we'll end up with bigger numbers, actually, but it's a little more unwieldy, but it's the way it's been done. But it's so sad
Mr. President,
that the Supreme Court didn't want to save our country with one sentence, $165 billion. And we're giving a lot of that money back to people that hate our country. So I'm not happy with the Supreme Court, I'll be honest with you, okay?
Mr. President, on that topic, there's a whole number of very large companies, including Apple and Amazon and others, that have not sought reimbursements yet for the tariffs, meaning they haven't tried to collect refunds. And from what I understand, part of the reason that they have waited is because there is a worry about, frankly, offending you. Would you find it offensive for them to try to collect a refund?
I think it's brilliant if they don't do that. I actually think if they don't do that, they got to know me very well. I'm very honored by what you just said. If they don't do that, I'll remember them. I will tell you that, because I'm looking to make...
Look, you can't fault Trump for being honest and being blunt. And do you know what? If this was a Democrat speaking, they'll be like, oh, well, you know, they'll mealy mouth about it in public, but they're very vindictive, you know, in private. They come up with stuff to hurt you in private. Trump is out there. He tells it, he calls it as it is. Okay. And you have to respect that.
This country's strong. Supreme Court could have helped us. Now they have birthright citizenship. They'll probably rule against us. No country in the world has it. It's horrible for our country. And I just see it, you know. I see some of these Republicans that are nominated by me asking real bad questions. And looks like maybe we're going to lose that one, too. Look what happened with NIL. They destroyed college sports, the court system, destroyed. So hard to put that one back, Humpty Dumpty, so hard to put that one back together. You know, we had 150 years of rulings and everything else, and they had such a great system. It was a scholarship system. You get free college if you're a good athlete. You get this, you get that.
Yeah.
And it took care of every sport. Fencing, and not only football. Now it's all football, and the football is bringing down colleges because they're losing. Did you see Penn State lost $500 million last year? Yeah. Florida State lost $450 million last year. They can't lose that kind of money. They don't make that kind of money.
Yeah.
And the court system, a person that never had anything to do with sports, a very liberal-leaning Democrat, liberal, she decided that the sports system that was in place for 150 years is no good. She never went to a game before. It's no good. And she said it's unconstitutional. And unfortunately, NCAA didn't even appeal it. You know?
All right, so I'm going to cut it off here. If you want the links to this interview, let me know and I'll post it in the chat. But we just have to move on so that we can cover the highlights of the key thing that we're talking about this morning, which is, of course, Trump's statements on the Iran war. Now, we're 12 hours out before the ceasefire expires. And essentially, Trump has been claiming that Iran agreed to transfer its enriched uranium. But essentially, there's documentation that shows that for 20 years, that has been the path that Iran has been on. So I'm really, concerned about the fact that Democrats lie so willingly and twist and rewrite history in order to further their own ends. Now, President Trump essentially is very firm on his position on that, and he's not going to budge. Now, we all know that during this conflict, the Democrats have filed 5 war powers votes to stop President Trump from doing what he's doing. Essentially, that hasn't worked. It's failed 5 times. Now, let's look at how consistent these outlets have been. Left-leaning outlets, this morning are saying that Trump is raring to start a fight. That's what they're saying. Okay, look, he's insane. He wants to start a fight. Come on. But that's the quote that they're leading with and driving home, and they're essentially saying that Trump is edging towards dangerous escalation. Meanwhile, right-leaning outlets are leading with Iran's new cards on the battlefield threat as evidence, because Iran said that they have new cards to play on the battlefield. I think they've essentially gotten fresh supplies from China, and they are essentially trying to, puff out their chest to say they're going to be more formidable. But let's see how that goes. The statement that they made about that, essentially, in my opinion, tells me that they are bad faith. They've been bad faith all along. The ceasefire was essentially for them to double down and, get rearmed so that they could hold power. That's essentially, and they insist on retaining their nuclear enrichment program. Now, the Obama era JCPOA unfroze tens of billions in assets and left Iran's enrichment program running inside the country under inspections. But what Trump is demanding is a moratorium on enrichment and physical removal of their stockpile. It's structurally stricter on both counts. Meanwhile, the Democrats and left-wing media are claiming that Trump is riding on the JCPOA, which is not true. He's doing something completely different. All right. Now, let me know in the chat, do you think there's going to be a deal or is the war going to resume tomorrow? Let me know in the chat. Remember, if your chat essentially wins, if you chat the most, because YouTube has a ranking system. Okay, so when your chat ranks the highest, you get to win our prize. You get a coffee on us, okay? So let's get back to this. The next story, we have this situation with a Democrat who stole $5 million. We know that Hakeem Jeffries repeatedly refused to call her out. Now, let's listen to Anna Paulina Luna, because I think what she says in this video reflects the way a lot of us out here feel. Okay. Now let's remember what we're talking about. Sheffilus McCormick, a Democrat from Florida, stole FEMA funds, $5 million in FEMA funds, and is facing expulsion hearings right now. But many of us feel like nothing will come of it. It's the same old saber rattling noise while nothing happens, no accountability. So let's watch this.
Luna. All right. I support Representative Mace's subpoena here, as well as the amendment to it. And I just think it's really disgusting how this institution protects itself, because y'all just half of them voted to send this stuff to House Ethics, where it's going to die. We know that members of Congress are using taxpayer dollars to pay off sexual harassment. We just had a member of Congress literally sexually harass a woman that then lit herself on fire, and you guys all protected him. You guys all protected my own side, your side. And so if you guys want to talk about victims, if you want to go out and virtue signal, and then you guys are going to kill her stuff on the floor and then try to pass it. Yeah, of course, we should subpoena all of this stuff. But I'm not going to sit here and play games. I think it's a complete fraud. I think that's why the American people hate us. I think the midterms are coming up, and everyone should go on record for this. And I hope that members are exposed for this. I hope it goes back, to the 70s, because it's wrong that it's happening. It's wrong that we cover up for it. It's wrong that we can't censor our own side because people are busy making deals because you guys don't want to censor your side. It's a deal that's been cut, and people hate us for it. So, yeah, I support it.
Thank you, Representative.
Chair recognizes Mr. Biggs.
All right, so
you've been told time and time again that if you just keep posting,
sorry about that. Now let's watch the report coming in about this hearing.
The House Ethics Committee is set to meet to recommend a punishment for South Florida Congresswoman Sheila Sheffilus McCormick. She's at risk of getting expelled from Congress after accusations she funneled millions of dollars in stolen FEMA money into her campaign. Here's D.C. Bureau reporter Ross Ketchke.
Tonight, Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Sheffilus McCormick is staring down potential expulsion from Congress.
Congresswoman, any statement?
The House Ethics Committee is set to meet tomorrow to recommend a punishment after ruling the South Florida Democrat committed more than 24 ethics violations.
The allegations before us are extremely serious.
The 2-year investigation from the bipartisan panel finding what it called clear and convincing evidence that Sheriff McCormick stole $5 million in FEMA COVID-19 relief funds and funneled that money towards her campaign for Congress. The Democrat has fiercely denied the charges, telling Local 10's Glenna Milberg on This Week in South Florida that the push to expel her is part of a political attack.
And I told everybody from the beginning that this was all politically motivated to have salacious outlines, headlines.
But demands to expel Sheriff McCormick have only grown louder. Florida Republican Greg Steube leading the charge, writing, expelling someone who stole $5 million from taxpayers should be the easiest vote in Congress. Forcing Sheriff McCormick out of office would require a wave of Democrats to cross party lines. So far, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has refused to weigh in.
We'll have a conversation as a caucus in the aftermath
it's just
of the recommendation,
rank corruption.
which we anticipate will be bipartisan from the Ethics Committee.
The ethics vote comes after a flurry of unceremonious exits from Congress. Republican Tony Gonzalez and Democrat Eric Swalwell both resigning last week after facing mounting sexual misconduct allegations. Those cases now turning up the pressure on lawmakers to hold their fellow members accountable, even those in their own party.
Enough of this garbage, enough of guarding people, enough of all the sugarcoating here, man. Like, people are here with the trust of the American people, and they want to act like this?
And Louis, more on what comes next for Congresswoman Sheriff McCormick. I'm told by my sources on Capitol Hill this process could move forward very quickly once the Ethics Committee makes its recommendation tomorrow afternoon. The latest I have been told by those sources is lawmakers are currently being asked to prepare for that expulsion vote by Wednesday afternoon. Louis?
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so guys, let me know what you think in the chat. Do you think this woman is going to get expelled? Do you think the Democrats are going to hold their own accountable? Is that going to happen? There's a lot of grandstanding out, in the press by the likes of AOC saying that yes, she should be expelled, and this other person who is a Democrat he sounds like he's a Democrat from Texas, maybe, let's see, New Mexico. And it's a lot of grandstanding. Where you see, where the rubber meets the road is how they vote. And to be honest, the only Democrat that I think will vote common sense right now, I think, is John Fetterman. He's had a very interesting year where he's gone against the grain with his party repeatedly. He's gone toe-to-toe with them, refusing the insanity that they have chosen to push. But then again, let's see. So the expulsion vote might happen today or tomorrow. Now, let me know in the chat. Do you think that they're going to actually vote her out? Do you think they're going to expel her from Congress? Okay, let me know in the chat. The hearing is happening right now. So while we're watching right now, they're having those hearings, and honestly, I'm not confident. That's what I think. She said categorically this morning in an interview that she's not resigning. So, and then she has claimed repeatedly that the accusations are racially motivated. Like, guys, you can't make this up. You can't make this up. It is insane that you're caught committing a crime, and then you're claiming that the fact that you were caught committing a crime was racially motivated. Jeez. Like, I can't believe that I'm saying this out loud. But that's the world we live in today, guys. That's the world we live in today. You catch a criminal and then you're attacked for catching the criminal. It's like what we've seen happening with Nick Shirley. Okay, have you heard of the Nick Shirley Act? Like, they literally had to name it after Nick Shirley, because Nick Shirley essentially has been doing more work than the DOJ. Well, I don't know if I'm being facetious by saying that, but it appears like he's doing more work than the DOJ because he's exposing fraud, and the things he's exposing has caused a huge groundswell in states like Minnesota and now California. And California has essentially decided that they are going to institute a bill called the Stop Nick Shirley Act. I think it's crazy. Let me try Nick Shirley. It's insane that this is happening at all. It's insane that this is happening at all. You know, I say that it's upside down world. Okay, so let's just listen to, if you've been living under a rock. All right, here's the report on that insanity.
Okay, in California, Democrats are taking heat for a new bill they're pushing that one lawmaker has now dubbed the Stop Nick Shirley Act. Some people are arguing that the proposed legislation effectively criminalizes investigative journalism. GOP Florida Senator and member of the Homeland Security Committee, Ashley Moody, joins me now. You know, fraud has been a big focus for you when you were AG in Florida, and now that you're a senator here in Washington. Give me your reaction to this. I mean, they're basically saying you can't go out and investigate in the way that Nick Shirley did in Minneapolis.
Yeah, this doesn't surprise me at all. A lot of, we're uncovering in these commie criminal havens, let's call them, their policies have bankrupted their states, and they've built that in to these structural deficits like California. I think Massachusetts is struggling with deficits. All of these policies that they're implementing don't drive real market-driven prosperity. In fact, it wrecks true markets and the ability of a state to thrive, like Florida, right? Compare and contrast. We run a deficit every year. So then they go and cry to the federal government, we need all these grants, we need all this money, and they push that money out to these NGOs and other organizations, which through all kinds of grants, health grants, you name it. You saw some of the stuff coming through COVID or even green energy during Biden, just pushing out billions and billions of dollars. And then when you have Americans like Nick Shirley showing up and saying, where's my taxpayer money going? You're using so much of it to shield and cover up what you're pushing to, I would say illegally, to illegal immigration or other things. Now they want to cover it up. They want to stop any way of an American taxpayer coming in and demanding transparency. They've already been shutting out Congress and its oversight. They definitely did that during the Biden administration. And now they're seeing Nick Shirley have some success. They're going to try and cover up and block anybody like that from coming in. So it doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, it does make you wonder, like, what are you hiding that you have to pass a law? Here's Nick Shirley, actually. He was just on with Kaylee, and here's his reaction to this bill that's sort of named after him.
So if this passes, the fraud's going to continue to get worse and worse. And if I were to go look into the fraud at one of these NGOs, let's say, that receives money for migrants, I could receive a $4,000 civil fine, a $10,000 criminal fine, or a $50,000 felony. They're basically trying to bankrupt journalists from looking into the fraud.
So, all of us journalists, I've been a journalist since...
All right, so before we continue, listen to this, guys. Okay, this is a Democrat-run state doing this. This is a party that repeatedly claims that they are for free speech, that they are pro-Constitution. They repeatedly accuse President Trump of attempting to destroy the Constitution. And every time you turn around, they are the ones doing the exact thing that they are accusing the Republicans and President Trump of doing. Like, I'm trying very hard not to sound exceptionally upset, because when I start talking when I'm upset, sometimes I feel like I don't get the point across as well as I should. So I'm trying to be very calm here. So these people have the nerve to start to They've abandoned everything else they're supposed to be doing for the people in their state. And the most important thing for them is to pass a law that essentially blocks free speech. You're not allowed to investigate fraud anymore independently, because right now, what they're telling us right now, and this is what I'm getting, is that the state, and when I say state, I mean holistically, at the state level, federal level, is unwilling to do what it takes to stamp out fraud. We just heard from Anna Paulina Luna ripping her colleagues a new one, telling them, look, you guys continue to cover up for your colleagues, and the citizens of the United States have had enough of it. They're fed up of the insanity that they're seeing in full view. They're seeing it. So guys, just let me know like how you feel about this, hearing all of this, because I'll be honest with you, like the more you turn over these rocks, like the more heartbroken I get personally. I'm like, you think that simply having President Trump in office would actually help some of these things, but what him getting into office has done essentially is it has uncovered the sewage that is the American political system and justice system, because you have judges who are actively blocking the enforcement of federal law, actively blocking the deportation of criminals, violent criminals that have essentially, anyway, never mind. So let me know in the chat, please.
It's 2006. I know what I can and can't do. I know, where I'm allowed to go, where I'm not allowed to go. And I would think that being on public property the way that Nick Shirley was in Minneapolis is covered by the First Amendment. I mean, is this bill even legal?
Right, exactly. I mean, people have the right to talk out, report, and talk about things that they see wrong. The real challenge in this law also is that they're saying these nonprofits or employees should never be doxxed. They should never be harassed. They're calling it, protecting these, I'm going to say quote unquote employees. Although if you remember in Minnesota when he was showing up, nobody was there. There were no employees. It was completely a front. But they want to allow, and think about the irony in this, they want to allow the harassment and the doxing and the threats
of ICE agents,
law enforcement.
Yeah.
But they want to protect
criminals,
people that are scamming American taxpayers.
Yeah.
It is absolutely the reason why California is a failed state. It is that nonsense that they keep inflicting upon their citizens. And it's why from all of these states, they are fleeing to the state of Florida. I mean, we create prosperity among our citizens by good policies. We have a state that is attracting folks from New York, from Illinois, from California, from Minnesota, and not just their citizens, their law enforcement personnel that wants to be respected and giving the tools and resources they need to do their jobs. And so I think that as long as you keep having states like California act with a guttural political woke sense in terms of how they're enacting policy with no understanding for how to balance a budget or their bottom line or take care of actual taxpayers that are funding them, you're going to keep having the mass exodus you're seeing to the states that take their stewardship and leadership responsibilities very seriously.
Before I let you go, Senator, I got to ask you, the president was out on the road on his affordability tour again this week. He went to Las Vegas and he went to Phoenix, and he's trying to talk about his big, beautiful bill and all the tax cuts and tax breaks for so many people out there and how popular they are as he tries to shift messaging back to domestic issues. But I want to pull up this map here because it shows that a couple of these Senate races that are currently, was supposed to be favored for Republicans have shifted towards Democrats. We're talking about Nebraska, Ohio, North Carolina, and Georgia.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
Just shifted them a couple of days ago towards Democrats. So what do you think is going on here? Why do you think Republicans are losing their grip on these Senate races?
You know, I think that as long as we are out there talking about the policies that we're implementing that are putting America and Americans first and the results that we've delivered over the last year, we are going to be successful in November. I mean, how long has it been that people have said, we don't need tax on hardworking Americans? Like, stop taxing tips, stop taxing overtime, stop taxing Social Security for our seniors that are often on the most limited income and struggling. And we got that done. We delivered. You know, in my state of Florida, our citizens will receive the highest average tax returns in the nation. And I got that done and passed that with Republican leadership and this president in my first year as a United States Senator. So, you know, we just need to make sure we're communicating. I was just going to say that. We need to make sure we're communicating what we're doing to deliver on policies that are affecting Americans, American lives, and American interests. We're doing it. We're getting things done. We need to just make sure we're better about touting how we've delivered those over the last year.
Okay, so let me say something about this. And, you know, picking up from what we saw last year with the USAID scandal, where we saw that lots of money was being funneled towards independent creators, and many outlets like NBC. What was it? That was that outlet now? I've forgotten. But a lot of outlets, media outlets, that essentially were receiving millions of dollars from USAID. And what was that all about? It was the Democrats understanding that politics essentially is a media war. And I honestly don't think that the Republicans or conservatives have figured it out yet. They haven't. They haven't. And I think that because most conservatives are so conscientious that they want to play by the rules, they don't realize that the people that they are fighting against have no rules. The leftists, the Democrats, don't play by any rules. They create new rules as they go. Once they are in power, all they want is to make sure that they pull every lever possible to stay in power. And if they have to bankrupt the citizenry in order to fund their media machine, they will. Like, I'll be honest with you, okay? I'm feeling quite disappointed with the way things are going, not because the Trump administration isn't doing a great job, but I think conservatives as a whole haven't gotten the memo yet. We haven't gotten the memo. We think that Trump is going to fix everything. No, he's only cleared the path for conservatives to rise up and begin to do what is necessary. That's what he's done. But conservatives essentially are not ready to pay the price. We're not ready to pay the price to have the world that we want to live in. We are not ready. I mean, I went down a dark corridor last night, and I think that for me, this is where it's at right now. Anyone who is a conservative and identifies as a conservative and in their bones believes in conservative values. And I've always said that conservatism is the political expression of Christianity. That is what it is. If you believe in a world where there are just laws and there's the enforcement of those just laws without fear or favor, no two-tier justice system in place, where common sense rules, where if you commit a crime, you're punished for the crime, and the punishment isn't based on the color of your skin or whether you're a member of a minority group. The Bible says that you do not twist justice because someone is wealthy or advantaged. And also says you do not twist justice because this person is poor or disadvantaged. And we see it being done regularly by the Democrats. It is their calling card. Everywhere in the world, leftists are doing this. They twist justice so that they can buy the votes of the so-called minority. They are burning the world. The world is literally on fire, and we haven't noticed. We haven't. Most of us are going about our days, just minding our businesses. And look, it's great and it's honorable to mind your business. But you know what else is honorable? Paying attention to the danger that's coming down the pike, because it is. It is. We watch regularly how left-wing media rewrites history, talks about these things and actively lie about things. And many of us just like we shrug our shoulders and say, okay, well, moving on to Fox News where they tell us what we need to hear. But we don't get the memo. Look, when you watch outlets out there that essentially lie for a living, they lie for a living. Being a YouTuber, I get to follow, or I get to know about channels like this. Okay, so you might not know about these guys, all right? But these guys are wall-to-wall Trump haters. And there are hundreds of channels out there, okay? Hundreds of channels out there. That's all they do. And you know what? These channels are well-funded. They're well-funded by leftists out there. Billionaires are just there pumping money into these left-leaning independent media stations, and public stations are getting funded as well, because the message that they are getting is Trump is failing, Trump is failing. No wonder there's a shift. The Democrats have spent the last year blocking Trump at every turn. And all we can say is, oh, these people are insane. They're insane. They're insane. They're insane. And I've always asked, don't these people have any shame that they could come on live TV and lie so blatantly like we saw Rokana do? But they know what they're doing. Look, Patricia would always say that the aim is to lie so that the lie does the damage. They don't care whether you find out later that they lied, as long as the damage is done. Because you know what? A large percentage of people won't do their own research. They won't do their own homework. A large percentage of people, well-meaning people out there, have been sold a lie that Trump is the Antichrist. You have Tucker Carlson. Out there already, like Tucker Carlson, okay? Essentially saying Trump is the Antichrist, okay? He has essentially convinced himself, and he is convincing his listeners that reading the book of Daniel, he has written in that Trump is the Antichrist. I talked about this a couple of weeks back, and I don't want to repeat myself. So there's a lot of this going on, and it's all about money. It's about money. It's all about money. These people have been bought and paid for. And they are essentially turning on the convictions that they claimed they had. I don't know, guys. I don't mean to, blackpill you, but it's just us looking at the facts. Now, and on the reported story, just before we we close is this. The Trump DOJ has essentially claimed that the presidential records law is unconstitutional. And let's hear what this is all about.
The Justice Department now says a key law governing presidential records is unconstitutional and that President Trump does not have to follow it. In a new legal opinion, the department's Office of Legal Counsel ruled the Presidential Records Act goes too far, saying Congress cannot force the president to preserve and turn over records to the National Archives. The law has been in place since the 1970s, requiring presidents to treat official records as government property, not personal. The opinion, first reported by Axios, says the law gives Congress too much power over the presidency. Assistant Attorney General T. Elliott Geiser writing, the act establishes a permanent and burdensome regime of congressional regulation of the presidency, untethered from any valid and identifiable legislative purpose. For these reasons, the PRA is unconstitutional, and the president need not further comply with its dictates. The opinion is binding inside the executive branch, but it does not change the law. Courts or Congress would have to act for that. The decision could let the White House set its own rules for handling presidential records, something Trump has long pushed for. After leaving office in 2021, he kept documents at Mar-a-Lago, including classified material, and faced criminal charges over how they were handled. He denied wrongdoing, and a judge later dismissed the case after he returned to office. The White House says it's still preserving records and will keep its current system in place.
All right, so we all followed this case when it broke, and the question is this law evenly applied across all presidents because Obama kept records himself? Okay, everyone, even Joe Biden kept documents, and he wasn't president. Oh no, they basically glossed over it. Every president since 1978 has operated under this act, and it was passed specifically because of Richard Nixon. And essentially that was because he attempted to destroy and conceal evidence of his own misconduct in office. Not good. Not good. But I don't know. Obama kept stuff back. Okay. So the point of this whole conversation essentially is this. Are they saying that President Trump can and should be able to destroy classified information? No. It is saying based on the way it was used against him, because they essentially weaponized the justice system. Everyone saw it happening. Everyone did. But everyone just gave other Democrat presidents a pass and vice presidents, because we all saw that Biden kept classified documents in his garage. Why wasn't he dragged through the mud like President Trump was? So the DOJ has said it's unconstitutional, but it doesn't mean that the law has gone away. Okay, it's a report. It's a claim that it was unconstitutional, and it doesn't mean it has gone away. So it's yet another statement. In my opinion, I don't even know why the DOJ is making this statement. Look, I would rather just fix the problem than wait for, just say something just to put in the press to start a conversation that has no teeth. It has no, all it's doing is giving more ammunition to people who don't like the president or the Republican administration to say, look, these people are trying to change laws to suit themselves. I saw a description in a video that essentially says, okay, that the DOJ is now claiming that Trump has permission now to destroy documents. Is that what this is all about? No, it's not. You know it, I know it. But you know what? They don't care. They will spin it anyhow anyhow they can in order to make Trump look bad. It's an unfortunate thing. to see. But we deal with these unfair conversations regularly, and it's on us to confront them and to bring them out in the open. If someone comes up to say to me, the only reason why you want to do this thing is because this is how you think. And I'm like, you don't know what I think. You don't know what I plan on doing. Why are you trying to put that on me? You're trying to put words in my mouth. Now, listen to what this statement that the DOJ made is now precipitating. The American Historical Association is now in federal court, of course, a federal court with one of these woke leftist federal judges. Because these people know what they're doing, guys. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, okay? But every moment, every inch you give these people, they use it to spin up a new narrative. The American Historical Association is now in federal court asking a judge to block anyone inside the government, of course, the Trump administration, from trashing White House materials. In their minds, that is why the DOJ said it. We thought we had stopped these snafus from the DOJ when Pam Bondi was fired, but they're still shitting the bed. There's no need to make these unforced errors. I don't know. I think it's just frustrating to see these things happen. Okay. Now, somebody else left a comment, not a comment, but made a statement in the press. Tony Naftali says, and he's the former director of the Nixon Presidential Library. He said, this is an attempt to post facto, I misread that, at post facto vindication for having taken public property to Mar-a-Lago. Okay, but Mr. Timothy Naftali, you forgot to mention that Biden did it. Every other president has done it. Okay, Trump isn't the only. Why is this hatred of Trump? So it's a deep, insidious hatred for Trump. Why? Why? Like, we're watching this happen in real time. And for those of you who are going to be watching this video in the years to come, maybe you'll have the answers to that question. Okay? Now, of course, the White House has responded that President Trump will voluntarily maintain a rigorous records program. All right. So let's just keep that in mind. Okay. Let's keep that in mind. So guys, we're just going to end the live stream at this point. Tell me in the chat whether any of these stories, which of these stories resonated the most with you. Intergalactic Wrangler did post the most in the chat. Are you still on the live stream? Let me know. Of course, I did say that to win your prize or to claim your prize, you have to stay till the end of the live stream so that we can arrange for how we're going to be sending you your coffee. We're going to send you a gift card with your coffee to get your coffee. So now, something weird has been happening with the live chat recently. I don't know why, and I think maybe it's the software that I've been using for the last couple of weeks. We've been having some challenges with the streaming software that we've been using. We've been flipping from Restream, the web-based format, to OBS, and it's just been a back and forth over the last couple of weeks trying to get something that really works. And helps us deliver the content easily without any hitches. Because one time I would go live and try to play a video and the audio wouldn't come through. It's really frustrating to do that. So we're really working hard to make sure that this works the way it should. I'm looking at the feed, at the live stream feed here on my other screen, and I can see that the chats, all the chats aren't appearing on the chat history. But on OBS, I'm seeing that there have been several messages from Intergalactic Wrangler. So if you're watching and you sent messages but I didn't read them out, okay, let me know in the chat or in the comment section. I need to figure out what exactly is going on. There are a lot of changes happening in, with YouTube, a lot of algorithm changes that are going on, and I'll be honest with you, they are really affecting a lot of creators. But you know what, we're just going to be persistent. We're going to continue to post content regularly. We're going to ride out this storm. And I want to thank you all for hanging out with us and sticking with us. Intergalactic Wrangler, thank you for hanging out and being so consistent with us. Thank you. From that live stream we did on a Sunday afternoon when you became a part of the community till now, you've been very consistent. I do appreciate you. Now, if you're still watching, please post in the chat, I still am watching. And then you can send, I'm going to just do this. Okay, just let me know that you're still watching, and I will just send you the instructions on how to get your prize. How to get your prize. I'm grateful to be able to do this. I enjoy live streaming. I enjoy talking with you guys while we're looking at the news and the stories that actually, come up, and I'm like, okay, no one is talking about this. Let's figure this out. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. All right, now, I don't think Intergalactic Wrangler is still on the live stream. All right, so he doesn't get to. There's a delay. Most of us experience delays. So I'm not sure if he's still on, so he doesn't get to win his prize. I'm sorry. That's the rule. But Intergalactic Wrangler doesn't chat because he wants a prize. He chats because he genuinely loves to connect with me, and I do appreciate it. All right, guys, I have to end the live stream here. We can't wait indefinitely for a response. We will be back tonight for our evening session. We're going to be diving in and just hanging out with the stories that are making the rounds and having our conversations.